Hi, welcome to Three Questions with. Got my friend Emily with us from EG Creative. Good afternoon, Emily. How you been?
Good. Thanks for having me back, Kevin.
So today I want to talk about website audits. So for us, what is a website audit?
So, website audit is where someone with an SEO background comes in and they look at your website to assess how it's being portrayed to search engines. So, search engines crawl websites, but they can't read them in the same way you and I do because they're not people. Instead, they look for a variety of different signals, they follow links, and go through a series of processes that the average person can't see. But an SEO professional will have tools that they can use to replicate this so they're able to assess whether or not your site is fully accessible to search engines and if it will perform well.
So Emily, we get a lot of messages that your website has numerous errors. And I remember getting it the first time, like, well, what's wrong with my website? The question comes back to how do I know I can trust the person telling me, and does my website actually have errors? How do I know?
That's a really good question. So, across the board, generally speaking, those cold emails you get, they're just like, hey, we found errors, they're very alarmist. Those are likely to be a scam. And if they're not a scam, they're coming from an agency that is just trying to get business and might not be the most above board. They might try to upsell you on packages that you don't really need. So if you see something like that and it does make you think, wait, is there something wrong with my website? I personally wouldn't respond to those emails. I would seek out someone on your own. Talk to people in your network, see if they have any recommendations, anyone who is a search engine professional or a website agency that can help you do an audit and figure out if there really is a problem. A lot of times you'll be able to get in touch with someone who can just do an audit and give you the information, and then you'll be empowered to decide whether you want to move forward with them, go back to one of those agencies that emailed you. But either way, you're going to be in control of the situation. You're not going to be, just getting fear mongered.
So what type of errors would a website audit uncover?
Yeah, so website audit can uncover a whole bunch of different errors that can really impact the way your website appears in search results. That can include broken links to and from your site. There can be whole sections of your site that are accessible to you and me, but aren't accessible to search engines. It can identify errors in the way your page is structured. There may be issues with your website code that is sending incorrect information about your site to Google, so it's not going to know how to categorize you appropriately. It can also identify issues with how quickly your site is loading and how usable it is, all of which play into search engine ranking. Those are the real basic parts of an audit. Depending on who you're working with and what they recommend, you may also go into a content audit too, which is going to look at how the content is structured on your site, how it's performing, and what you can do to change it to better communicate who you are to sites like Google.
So I have someone do the audit, I get your report. Now what do I do besides panic?
Well, ideally, the person you're going to be working with will have steps to move forward. I know that when I work with my clients on an audit, I deliver them a written report that breaks everything down in really easy to understand detail. That's number one feedback I get. This is so easy. I'm not scared anymore. From there, I work with them to figure out what can they do on their own, what will they need me to do, and what can be handled by, let's say, their web developer or their web designer. It really is a team effort. So if you're putting aside those like scary, maybe scammy emails you get, if you're working with someone that you've sought out, they should have a process to guide you through to help you figure out what your next steps are.
Emily, I want a bonus question today. My bonus
Okay.
question, how often do I do an audit? Especially
Um,
adding a lot of content. Seems like I should do
very
it fairly often.
Yes, that's a very good question. So I recommend doing an audit at least once a year. You always want to do an audit once you have launched a new site. And in fact, if you're planning to launch a new website, like do an overhaul, it's a good thing to do it before you make changes so you know what needs to be fixed. And then after you launch to catch any potential errors. And then from there, I recommend at least every 12 months. If you have it in the budget, every 6 months is even better, just to make sure that everything is really shipshape.
Should I actually do an audit on a brand new website to see if we set it up properly, honest mistakes or something like that?
So if it's a brand new website, like you just never owned this URL before, it is brand new. An audit's not going to be super beneficial to you there because it hasn't been online long enough for you to be able to see what is Google accessing? What are they not? If it's a brand new site, I'd recommend waiting for 6 months. If it's a site that you owned and you've launched a new version, like a revamped design, then you can go ahead and do an audit right away.
Makes sense. So Emily, what's the best way for people to reach out to you if they'd like to learn more about this?
Reach out to me at emily@egcreativecontent.com or find me on LinkedIn.
Awesome. I appreciate taking a few minutes to call on the show. And as always, thanks for being my friend.
Thank you.